All right, Lesson 14, Waterfront Terminal Operations. Introduction. More than half of the tonnage handled in the petroleum military is petroleum. To your job, you must know the responsibility for loading and unloading petroleum tanker to barge with the inlet unit bulk of petroleum product consumed that must be handled many times. Accurate receipt stores issue shipments of the petroleum products must be maintained. Other petroleum manager duties will require supervising and reviewing procedures. Military Sealift Command. The primary mission of the Military Sealift Command control the tanker fleet with the provide of the water transportation for the delivery of the products from the refinery of the DoD storage facility of the tanker fleet with consists of approximately 30 tankers which varies inside of them 20,000 to 38,000 tons. There are three types of contracts: bore, boat, charter of the tanker, the leased with the Military Sealift Command, personal crew shift. Shrew the ship that are responsible for all expenses. The time of the charter, for example, the week with the number of the year of the owner, provided the crew that pays all of the expense for the single voyage. Charter the ship of the leave for a single voyage. The owner is responsible for the crew and all expenses. There are three types of the dirty service: the heating oil of the crew, services of the clean service of the furnished product. Only if the ships cannot carry slipping cargoes without prior approval of the term from the Defensive Environmental Supply Center. Terms bow. Front end of the vessel with the stern. The rear end of the vessel is called the aft section. The midship, the center of the vessel portion of the left of the side of the ship with the standing midship, and then facing the bow. Starboard of the right side of the ship with the standing ship of the midship, standing midship, the facing the bow. Dead weight, the carrying capacity of the tanker in long term with the 2,240 pounds. Lifts where the vessel leans to the port of the starboard. The trim where the vessel level is water and plumb. The vessel is trim of the voyage where it is slightly down in the stern. Hard sacking. When the vessel loads at heavily midship, the hugging of the vessel loaded heavily on the bow and the stern with nothing in the midship. Barges self-propelled. The barges move under their own power with the use of the inland coastal the waterway that must maintain with the crew at all times. Non-self-propelled. They must move with the tugboats carried by either the temporary storage. They are equipped with their own pumping system. Pumps. Most tankers have the two pumping systems: central fecal pump, the offloading of the cargo, gear or piston pump, stripping of the cargo tank dry, ship tanks and manifold. Most tankers have the capability to carry up to 5 different products. Ship tanks are arranged in a breadth of the number of the bow and stern. Note that the instructor will point out the manifold to add numbering system and either the view grab the waterfront facilities. Multi-leg mooring system, the single port mooring system, the money buoy, jetties. Jetties are either the water depth of the shoreline that is unsuitable for bringing in the tanker. The docks and pier. The dock piers are most secure for the unloading. Tanker for the security, easier to maintain, except for the tanker, the easier for the case of the emergency for maintenance. They are protected for the winds and tide. For the depth, they should have at least 10 feet of the water under the biggest tanker that you expect to receive the fully load and the mean low tide. Should be separated from other classes by adequate equipment requirement. The following equipment should be available: minimum 2 storage tanks for each for the product of the ballast water, oil, water, separated with temperature, treatment for the ballast water, firefighting equipment, portable fire extinguisher, engineering, firefighter detachment, pollution control equipment. Disclaimer: both the suburban materials containment booms, communications has to be from the dock to ship to the tank of the farm, ground transportation work boats for the transportation men, equipment to the tank of ground system from the buying ship to the dock with the cathodic protection system should be turned off before transferring the fuel begins. A base laboratory for the testing of the products. Preparation of the arrival tanker arrival schedule. Tanker arrival schedule is checked to ensure the type of the quantity of the product is known. The personnel required to move the tanker to go aboard with the harbor terminal. The representative of the lab tech, the custom of the office officials if required. Berthing or facilities make sure they cleared and the tanker is tied up. Cargo hose and loading arms. Loading arms will be checked. The maintenance performed if the hoses are to be used. The wheel pressure for the test and the flange check with the shore tank and manifold of the tanks gauged and sample the products transferred. Create ullage to the required. All pipeline manifolds checked with the paper packaging products to the dock. Pumping gauge maintenance all performed. All pumps, all gauges are checked. Communication. All communications are checked with the dock vessel for the tanker farm pollution control equipment. The booms and skim the bows are made for the ready to deploy firefighting equipment. The portable fire extinguishers are placed within critical location. Terminal commander for the terminal commander is responsible for all the operations starting with the ship of the manifold pipeline. Patrol hose, hose watch, shifting change of the ship to aboard action. The master of the vessel is responsible for all the shipper action, paperwork, the tanker activity. The tanker activity report is the worksheet. Fill out the DoD Form 251, DoD Form 251, unit unloading valve seals. Part of the valves being unloaded, the valves aboard of the vessel be checked and ensure that they have seal with the seal number that have been recorded with the DoD Form 251. Pumping GP4 with the pumping the common for the reduced flow rate with not exceeding 3 feet per second until the fill line with the tank is covered with the fuel. With the delays, any delays will be required in time section DO Form 250-1 may determine who will behave the demurrage. Stripping of the one to the central fecal pump, the use of the suction, the tripper pump, the air brought online, the tank pump dried. Completion of the lift, offloading the ship to the tank for the empty, for the inspect for the terminal personnel with the dry tank, serve for the issue with the product that is found with the tank that cannot be removed. The fact is recorded with the remarks section of the DoD Form 251. Gauging shore tank after proper settling tank with the shore tank, then gave the amount with the record with the DoD Form 250. The amount is received left with the record with the DoD Team Form 251. As loaded in storage is more than 0.5% of the will require the investigation. Apple, the Defense and Energy Supply Center, Fuel Region, upon receipt of the DoD Form 251. For those received in the inventory submission of the paperwork must be done as possible. Departure after the tanker has departed the pier, cleaned up and made readily for the next operation. 10. Loading procedures. As soon as the vessel is docked, the terminal commander of his representative should check with the cargo to determine whether the product will be first loaded. The action will be mutually agreed with the shore ballast tank to ensure the ullage available to accept the ballast from the tank. The ship tanks should be checked with the ensure the cleaning of the free ballast suitable for the receiving the product for the pumping following the same procedure of the unloading when the tank with a 90% fuel with the receiving of the pumping rate to avoid spills to an overflow with the conducting full follow-up procedures enough of the time of the tanks themselves before gauging each of the tank, calculate the quantity loaded, obtain all levels of the sample of each of the compartment, run type of the sea according with the Mills Handbook 200. Gauge shore tanks, compare quantity of the pump and quantities received after the product and quality and the quantity have been determined. Check with and see all hatches, see the valve with the crossover to record all sealed numbers of the DoD Form 251. Alright, that was lesson 14. Lesson 15, internal corrosion.